Commander Taemin stood in front of the large screen on his ship's bridge. For over 200 years, his people had watched the third planet from the yellow star. They called it Earth. The blue and green world was home to a young species called humans. The humans were loud. Very loud. They sent radio signals into space all day and night. Music, news, television shows, and military communications filled the space around their planet like invisible smoke. The Galactic Council had been listening to them for so long that some aliens had learned human languages just for fun. But today was different. Today Earth was quiet. "Sir," said his assistant, a young officer named Boram. "The communication sensors show nothing from Earth for the past 72 hours. Taemin frowned. His blue skin turned a darker shade, which happened when he was worried. "Nothing at all?" "Complete silence, sir. No radio, no television, no internet signals. Even their military channels are dead." This was strange. Humans never stopped talking. They had been getting louder for the past 50 years. Their technology was growing fast, and they seemed to love making noise with it. On the other side of the galaxy, Dr. Sora was having the same problem. She worked on a research ship called the Star Whisper. Her job was to study young species like the humans. She had spent years learning about their culture by listening to their broadcasts. "Computer, run another scan of the Sol system," she said, to her ship's artificial mind. Scanning complete. No artificial signals detected from the third planet. Sora's forearms moved quickly across her control panel. Her species, the Zephyrians, were known for being careful scientists. They never jumped to conclusions, but this silence worried her. She had been listening to human music just last week, something called rock and roll that hurt her sensitive ears, but fascinated her mind. The humans put so much emotion into their sounds. Now there was nothing. Her colleague Dr. Minsu floated into the room. His species didn't need to walk. They moved through the air like jellyfish in water. "Any news from Earth?" he asked. "Nothing. It's like they all just stopped. Maybe they finally destroyed themselves," Minsu said sadly. "Young species often do that. They discover nuclear weapons or biological warfare and then—" "But there were no signs of war," Sora said. "No emergency broadcasts, no panic signals. They just went quiet all at once." Back on Commander Taemin's ship, the bridge crew was talking in worried voices. The ship's communication officer, Lieutenant J-Ho, had been trying to contact Earth for hours. "Sir, I've tried every frequency we know humans use. I even tried the old radio bands from 50 years ago. There's nothing." Taemin walked to the big window that looked out into space. He could see Earth's star in the distance. It looked normal, yellow and steady, just like always. "What do the long-range sensors show?" he asked. "The planet looks fine, sir. Clouds, moving oceans, blue-green landmasses. No signs of nuclear explosions or asteroid impacts, but—" Jeho paused. "But what? There's something odd about their moon and the red planet they call Mars. The sensors are picking up energy readings that weren't there before." This made Taemin even more worried. Young species didn't usually have energy sources that his advanced ships could detect from so far away. Meanwhile, in the Galactic Council building on the planet Nexus Prime, an emergency meeting was starting. Representatives from 12 different species sat around a circular table that floated in the center of the room. The council leader, an ancient being named Wisekeeper Yunho, spoke first. His species had been alive when the galaxy was young, and they had seen many civilizations rise and fall. "We are here to discuss the Earth situation. As you all know, the human homeworld has gone silent." A representative with 6 legs and crystal skin made a clicking sound that meant laughter in her language. "Perhaps the noisy children finally learned to be quiet." "This is not a joke, Counselor Ari," said another representative. His name was Ambassador Seok Jin, and he came from a species that looked like walking trees. "Sudden silence from a developing species usually means extinction." "Good," said Ari. They were getting too loud anyway, always broadcasting their primitive entertainment and their violent news. Dr. Sora, who had been invited to the meeting, because of her expertise on humans, stood up. With respect, counselors, I don't think the humans are extinct. The room became quiet. All eyes turned to her. What makes you say that? Asked Wisekeeper Yun-Ho. I've been studying them for 20 years. Humans are different. They're unpredictable. When they face problems, they don't just give up. They adapt, they change, they find new ways to do things. They're also violent, Counselor Aerie said. Their broadcasts are full of wars and conflicts. Yes, Sora agreed. But they're also creative. They make beautiful music and amazing stories. They dream of traveling to the stars. A species like that doesn't just disappear overnight. Ambassador Seok Jin leaned forward. Then what do you think happened to them? Sora was quiet for a moment. She had a theory, but it sounded crazy even to her. I think they're still there. I think they chose to be quiet. The room erupted in sounds. Different species made different noises when they were surprised or confused. It sounded like a zoo during feeding time. Impossible, said Counselor Aerie. They can't stop talking. It's what they do. Unless, said Wisekeeper Yun-Ho in his slow ancient voice, they found a reason to stop. Back on his ship, Commander Taemin was reading reports from other monitoring stations across the galaxy. Every single post that watched Earth was reporting the same thing. Complete silence. But there was something else. His science officer, Lieutenant Kyung-ho, had been studying the energy readings from Earth's moon and Mars. Sir, these readings don't match anything in our database. What kind of energy is it? I don't know, sir. It's like nothing we've seen before. It's not nuclear, not plasma, not even dark matter manipulation. It's something new. Taemin felt a cold feeling in his stomach. In all his years of service, he had learned that something new from a young species was usually dangerous. Could it be a weapon? I don't think so, sir. It's more like they're building something big. On her research ship, Dr. Sora was having similar thoughts. The computer had been analyzing the strange energy signatures for hours. Computer, compare these readings to all known technology in the Galactic database. No matches found. This energy pattern is unique. Sora stared at the data on her screen. The humans had been using primitive rockets and simple nuclear power just a few years ago. Now they were producing energy that her advanced civilization couldn't identify. Computer, when did these energy readings first appear? Approximately 75 hours ago, 3 hours before all human communications ceased. Sora's eyes widened. The timeline was too perfect to be a coincidence. The humans had turned off their radios right after they started using this new energy. She made a decision that would change everything. She opened a communication channel to the Galactic Council. This is Dr. Sora calling Nexus Prime. I request permission to lead a research mission to the Sol system. The reply came quickly. It was Wisekeeper Yun-Ho's voice. Permission granted, Dr. Sora. Take whatever ships and crew you need. We must know what happened to the humans. And Doctor, the ancient voice added, be very careful. Something tells me we're about to learn that we never really understood our noisy neighbors at all. Dr. Sora looked out at the stars and felt both excited and afraid. The galaxy had always thought of humans as young and primitive. But what if they were wrong? What if Earth's silence wasn't the end of humanity's story? What if it was just the beginning? Admiral Hyunwoo looked at the human ships surrounding them. There were at least 50 vessels, all sleek and white like the first one. They moved through space like dolphins through water, smooth and graceful. Captain Dong-ho, the Admiral said, carefully, we accept your invitation to visit Earth. Excellent. Please follow our ship. Do not be alarmed by what you see. The human vessel turned and began moving toward Earth. As the alien ships followed, more surprises waited for them. The space between Earth and its moon was busy with traffic. Human ships moved back and forth carrying cargo and passengers. Space stations floated in perfect formation, connected by bridges of light that the aliens couldn't understand. Dr. Sora watched everything through her ship's windows. Ji-won R, you recording all of this? Yes, Doctor. but I don't understand any of it. How did they build so much so quickly? Engineer Kyung-soo was studying the construction methods. Look at those space stations. They're not built with metal and plastic, like our ships. The material looks organic, like it grew instead of being assembled. As they got closer to Earth, they could see more details. The planet looked the same from far away, but now they could see subtle changes. The cities were different. The lights at night formed new patterns. Even the clouds seemed to move in more organized ways. Are they controlling their weather? Commander Taemin asked from his ship. Captain Dong-ho's voice answered, even though the question wasn't directed at him. Yes, we have learned to work with our planet's natural systems instead of fighting against them. The human ship led them to a massive space station that orbited Earth. It was bigger than most cities, with docking bays that could hold hundreds of ships. Welcome to Gateway Station, Captain Dong-ho said. Someone very important wants to meet you. The alien ships docked carefully. The station's docking system was completely automated and more advanced than anything they had seen. Mechanical arms guided their ships into perfect position without any input from the pilots. As they prepared to leave their ships, Dr. Sora felt nervous. Everything about this situation was wrong according to what the galaxy knew about humans. 3 months ago, they were a young species that had barely reached their own moon. Now they had technology that made the Galactic Council look primitive. The docking bay was filled with humans, but they looked different than in the old broadcasts. They stood taller and moved with more confidence. Their eyes seemed brighter, more aware. Some of them appeared to be communicating without speaking, turning to look at each other at the same moment and nodding. A woman approached the group of alien visitors. She wore simple white clothes and had an expression of calm authority. Welcome to Gateway Station. I am Ambassador Hanul. I speak for Earth and all human colonies. Admiral Hyunwoo stepped forward. Ambassador, I am Admiral Hyunwoo of the Galactic Council. We came here because your world went silent. We thought something terrible had happened. Ambassador Hanul smiled. Something wonderful happened, Admiral, but I understand why it would seem terrible from your perspective. Please follow me. We have much to discuss. She led them through corridors that seemed to glow with their own light. The walls were smooth and curved, like walking inside a living thing. Other humans passed by, all moving with the same quiet confidence. Ambassador, Dr. Sora said, may I ask what happened to your people? You seem different. We evolved, Dr. Sora. Not over millions of years, but in the span of a few months. We discovered something that changed everything. They entered a large circular room with windows that showed Earth below. The planet looked more beautiful than ever, with swirling clouds that formed perfect spirals and ocean colors that seemed too blue to be real. Please sit, Ambassador Hanul said. Let me explain what you call our great quiet. The aliens took seats that adjusted automatically to their different body shapes. Ambassador Hanul stood in the center of the room, her hands clasped behind her back. For years we knew you were watching us. We could detect your scanning beams and monitoring stations. We knew we were not alone in the galaxy. This surprised the visitors. Humans weren't supposed to have sensors good enough to detect Council monitoring equipment. You knew about us? Commander Taemin asked. Of course, we are not as primitive as you believed. But we pretended not to notice because we were not ready to meet you as equals. And now you are? Admiral Hyunwoo asked. Instead of answering with words, Ambassador Hanul pressed something on the wall. The room's windows became transparent from all sides, giving them a complete view of space around Earth. What they saw took their breath away. The space around Earth was filled with structures they hadn't noticed before. Rings of energy connected the planet to its moon. Streams of light flowed between space stations. And ships. Thousands of ships moved in patterns too complex to understand. This is what we built during our Great Quiet, Ambassador Hanul said. We stopped talking to the galaxy because we were too busy becoming something new. Engineer Kyung-soo stared at the energy rings. What are those? Transportation systems. We can move people and cargo from Earth to the moon in minutes. We can travel to Mars in hours. That's impossible, Dr. Sora said. The physics don't work. The physics you know don't work. Ambassador Hanul corrected gently. We discovered new physics. A door opened and another human entered. He wore the uniform of a ship captain and moved with the easy confidence of someone used to command. This is Captain Dong Ho, whom you spoke with earlier, Ambassador Hanul said. Captain Dong Ho bowed slightly to the alien visitors. I hope our ships didn't frighten you too much. Your ships, Admiral Hyunwoo said slowly. How do they move so fast? We don't move through space, Admiral. We move space around us. This statement made no sense to any of the aliens. Moving space itself was theoretical technology that the most advanced galactic civilizations had only dreamed about. I think, said Commander Taemin, we need to understand what really happened here. Ambassador Hanul nodded. 3 months and 5 days ago, our deep space monitoring stations detected something approaching our solar system. Not ships, but a signal. A message from very far away. She pressed another control and the room filled with a holographic display showing the galaxy. The message came from here, she said, pointing to an area far beyond the galaxy's edge. It was from humans. Other humans? Dr. Sora asked. Yes. Humans who left Earth thousands of years ago. They have been traveling among the stars, learning from ancient civilizations that your Galactic Council has never met. The hologram changed to show star charts with routes marked across impossible distances. These humans have been watching the galaxy for centuries. They knew about the Council, about all the species, about everything. And they knew that someday, the galaxy would need our help. Help with what? Admiral Hyunwoo asked. Before Ambassador Hanul could answer, alarms began, sounding throughout the station. The humans around them didn't panic, but they became more alert. Captain Dong Ho touched something on his wrist. Ambassador, long-range sensors are detecting the approaching fleet. Already? They're ahead of schedule. What fleet? Commander Taemin demanded. Ambassador Hanul looked out at the stars with a serious expression. The fleet that's coming to destroy this galaxy, Commander. The reason we had to evolve so quickly. The room became very quiet. Outside the windows, human ships began moving into new formations. For the past 50 years, Ambassador Hanul continued, an ancient enemy has been approaching. They destroy galaxies, consume civilizations, and leave nothing behind. Our deep space relatives detected them and sent us the knowledge we needed to prepare. But why didn't you tell the Galactic Council? Dr. Sora asked. Would they have believed us? 3 months ago, you thought we were primitive children playing with radio waves. If we had told you that killer robots from another galaxy were coming, what would you have done? Admiral Hyunwoo knew the answer. The council would have laughed at the humans and ignored the warning. So you prepared alone, he said. We prepared for everyone, Ambassador Hanul corrected. Every human colony, every space station, every ship was built with one purpose, to defend this galaxy when the time came. Captain Dong Ho walked to the window and pointed to a formation of ships in the distance. Admiral, your 3 vessels are welcome to join our defense fleet, but you should know that we're not the same species you've been monitoring. What do you mean? We evolved, Admiral, not just our technology, but ourselves. We can share thoughts across light years. We can work together like cells in a body. We can see patterns in space and time that others miss. To demonstrate, Captain Dong Ho closed his eyes for a moment. Instantly, every human ship in sight changed position at exactly the same time. We are connected, he said simply. Dr. Sora felt a chill run through her body. Connected how? Think of it as a network, Ambassador Hanul explained. Every human mind linked to every other human mind. We are still individuals, but we can share knowledge and coordinate actions instantly. That's... Engineer Kyung-soo paused. That's terrifying. To our enemies, yes. To our friends, it means we can protect them better than any individual species could. Outside, more human ships arrived. They came from the direction of Mars, from the asteroid belt, and from deeper in space. 3 months had passed since Earth went silent. Dr. Sora's research mission was finally ready to leave. Her ship, the Star Whisper, was joined by 2 military vessels. Commander Tae-min led one of them, and Admiral Hyun-woo commanded the other. Admiral Hyun-woo was old and experienced. He had seen many young species destroy themselves over the years. He expected to find a dead world covered in radiation and ash. All ships, this is Admiral Hyun-woo. We will reach the Sol system in 6 hours. Prepare your scanning equipment and hazmat suits. On the Star Whisper, Dr. So-ra worked with her team. Researcher Ji-won, a young scientist from the Zephyrian homeworld, was very excited. She had studied human culture through their old broadcasts and couldn't wait to see their planet. Dr. So-ra, Ji-won said, do you really think we'll find anything alive down there? I don't know, So-ra replied. But I hope so. Engineer Kyung-soo was checking the ship's sensors. He was a practical person who trusted machines more than theories. His job was to keep everyone safe no matter what they found. Doctor, the long-range scanners are picking up the Sol system. Initial readings show. He stopped talking and stared at his screen. Show what? So-ra asked. The third planet, and it's not dead. It's green and blue, just like in the old photographs. There are clouds moving across the surface. The oceans are clean. This was not what anyone expected. Admiral Hyun-woo's voice came over the communication system. All ships, confirm your readings. Is the third planet really intact? Confirmed, Admiral, replied Kyung-soo. Earth looks perfectly normal from this distance. But that's impossible, said Ji-won. If they didn't destroy themselves, why did they stop broadcasting? As the 3 ships got closer to Earth, more strange things became clear. The planet looked healthy and alive, but it wasn't responding to any communication attempts. Lieutenant Jae-ho tried every frequency and every language the humans had ever used. Earth, this is the galactic research vessel Star Whisper. Please, respond. Earth, this is Admiral Hyun-woo of the Galactic Council. We come in peace. Humans of Earth, we are here to help. Please answer our call. Nothing. Complete silence. But the scanners were showing interesting things. There were lights on the night side of the planet, just like before. Cities were still there. The power grids were working. Everything looked normal except for the lack of radio signals. Admiral, Commander Tae-min called from his ship. My sensors are detecting something unusual about Earth's moon. What kind of unusual? There are structures on the surface that weren't in our old survey data. Big structures. And they're generating the same energy signature we detected 3 months ago. Dr. So-ra quickly switched her ship's main scanner to look at the moon. What she saw made her feel dizzy. The moon's surface was covered with buildings. Not the small research stations that humans had talked about in their broadcasts, but huge complexes that stretched for kilometers. The structures were sleek and smooth. Nothing like the rough, clunky technology humans had been using. Ji-won, compare these structures to the last detailed scan we have of the moon. Ji-won's fingers moved quickly over her controls. Dr. So-ra, our last detailed scan was only 2 years ago. The moon was almost empty then. Just some small human bases and a lot of dust. And now? Now it looks like a major industrial center. Those buildings could house millions of people. Engineer Kyung-soo was studying the energy readings. Doctor, whatever they're doing up there, it's using more power than some of our home planets. Admiral Hyun-woo's ship was scanning Mars, the red planet. His science officer, a 6-armed specialist named Lieutenant Woo Jin, was making similar discoveries. Sir, Mars shows the same pattern. Massive construction, advanced energy generation, and completely different from our previous surveys. How different? 2 years ago, Mars had a few small human research domes and some robot vehicles. Now it has cities, sir. Actual cities with millions of people. The 3 ships moved closer to Earth. The planet looked so normal that it was almost disappointing. Blue oceans, white clouds, green and brown continents. But the complete lack of radio signals made it feel like a beautiful corpse. Dr. So-ra decided to try something different. Instead of trying to contact the planet, she aimed her scanners at the space around Earth. Kyung-soo, do a full spectrum scan of near-Earth space. Look for anything artificial. The engineer worked for several minutes. When he finished, his face was pale. Doctor, we have a problem. What is it? The space around Earth is not empty. There are objects out there. Hundreds of them. What kind of objects? I think they're ships. Admiral Hyunwoo heard this conversation over the communication link. Are you certain? Ships would show up on our long-range scanners. Not if they're using stealth technology better than ours, Kyung-soo replied. This statement made everyone quiet. The galactic species had always assumed they were far ahead of humans in technology. The idea that humans might have better stealth systems was frightening. Commander Taemin ran his own scans and found the same results. There were objects in space around Earth, but they were almost invisible. His ship's computer could only detect them because they were looking very carefully. Admiral, I'm reading at least 300 artificial objects in Earth orbit. They're not broadcasting any signals, but they're definitely there. Size estimate? Some are small, maybe the size of fighters. Others are... Taemin paused. Others are bigger than our ships. Dr. Sora was studying the asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter. This area had been mostly empty in their old surveys, with just rocks and ice floating in space. Now it was different. Very different. Ji-won. Look at this, she said, pointing to her screen. Tell me what you see in the asteroid belt. Ji-won studied the data. Her face went from curious to confused to scared. Those aren't asteroids anymore, Dr. Sora. Someone has been mining them and building with them. The asteroid belt now contained massive structures, space stations, factories, and things that the Galactic Council couldn't identify. The humans had been very busy during their 3 months of silence. How is this possible? Ji-won asked. 3 months ago, humans could barely get to their own moon. Now they've built cities on Mars and space stations in the asteroid belt? Engineer Kyung-soo had been thinking about the same question. Maybe they had help. Help from who? Dr. Sora asked. I don't know, but no species advances this fast on their own. It takes thousands of years to develop this kind of technology. Admiral Hyunwoo was getting worried. His mission was supposed to be simple. Find out what happened to the noisy humans, write a report, and go home. Instead, he was looking at evidence that humans had somehow become a major space power in just 3 months. All ships maintain current distance from Earth. Do not approach the planet or the moon until we understand what we're dealing with. But it was too late to retreat quietly. The humans had noticed them. A new energy signature appeared on all their scanners. Something was coming toward them from the direction of the moon. It was moving fast. Very fast. Incoming object. Lieutenant Woo Jin reported from Admiral Hyunwoo's ship. Speed is... Sir, this can't be right. What does it say? It's moving at almost light speed, sir. That's impossible for any physical object. The object slowed down as it approached the 3 alien ships. When it stopped, they could see it clearly for the first time. It was a ship, but not like any ship in the galactic database. It was smooth and white, shaped like a teardrop, with no visible weapons or engines. It was beautiful and terrifying at the same time. The alien ships tried to scan the human vessel, but their sensors couldn't penetrate its hull. Whatever the humans were using for construction, it was beyond anything the Galactic Council had ever seen. Then, after hours of silence, the human ship sent a message. The voice was calm and friendly, speaking in perfect galactic standard, the common language used by all civilized species. Greetings, visitors from the Galactic Council. This is Captain Dong-ho of the Earth Defense Vessel Defiance. We have been expecting you. Dr. Sora felt her heart racing. The humans hadn't just survived. They had been waiting for the galaxy to come looking for them. Captain Dong-ho, Admiral Hyunwoo replied carefully. This is Admiral Hyunwoo of the Galactic Council. We came to investigate the sudden silence from your world. We were concerned. Your concern is appreciated, Admiral. We apologize for the silence, but it was necessary during our transition period. Transition period? Yes. We have undergone some changes in the past few months. We are no longer the same species you have been monitoring. The human ship moved closer to the alien vessels. As it did, more energy readings appeared on their scanners. More human ships were approaching from all directions. The aliens were surrounded, but the humans didn't attack. They just waited. Admiral Hyunwoo, Captain Dong-ho continued. We would like to invite you and your team to visit Earth. There are things you need to understand about what we have become. Dr. Sora looked at her sensors one more time. The space around them was now filled with human ships that had appeared from nowhere. Earth's moon and Mars showed cities that couldn't exist. The asteroid belt had been turned into a massive industrial complex, and somewhere in the back of her mind, she realized that the galaxy had made a terrible mistake. They had assumed that silence meant weakness. They were about to learn how wrong they were. 1 year had passed since Earth went silent. The galaxy was no longer the same place it had been before. On Nexus Prime, the old Galactic Council building had been expanded with new sections that glowed with soft blue light. The architecture was different now, flowing curves that seemed alive, growing from the ground like trees made of crystal and metal. It was beautiful and strange, a mixture of human innovation and alien tradition. Counselor Yoon-ji walked through the corridors toward the main chamber. She was humanity's representative in the new Galactic Compact, chosen because she understood both human nature and alien fears. The corridor was busy with beings from dozens of species, all working together in ways that would have been impossible a year ago. A Velthari engineer discussed ship designs with a human technician. A Zephyrian scientist shared research data with a Kethari warrior. Everyone wore the same style of communication device on their wrist, technology that let different species share thoughts and ideas directly. As Yoon-ji entered the main chamber, she saw representatives from 47 different species. Some had joined the compact willingly after seeing the approaching threat. Others had joined after their home systems were saved by human defense fleets. A few had joined only after their own governments were replaced by citizens who wanted to live more than they wanted to be proud. Not all species had joined. 3 major civilizations still refused to work with humans, convinced that they could handle the invasion alone. Their space was now surrounded by early warning stations and automated defense systems, ready to help them whether they wanted help or not. Ambassador Hanul stood at the center of the chamber, no longer just speaking for Earth, but for the unified defense of the galaxy. She had changed over the past year. Her eyes held depths that seemed to contain knowledge from across the stars. When she spoke, her words carried the weight of millions of connected human minds. The enemy vanguard will reach the outer rim in 6 days, she announced. All defense fleets are in position. All evacuation plans are ready. All species have been given the choice to fight together or be protected anyway. Admiral Hyun Woo, who now commanded a mixed fleet of human and alien vessels, stood to give his report. Working with humans had changed him too. He moved with more confidence and spoke with greater certainty than ever before. The combined fleet consists of 12,000 vessels from Council species and 40,000 human ships. But more importantly, we fight as one mind instead of dozens of separate forces. This was the most amazing change of all. Willing aliens could now connect to the human neural network through their communication devices. They could share tactical information instantly, coordinate movements perfectly, and support each other in ways that individual species had never imagined. Dr. Sora, who now worked as a liaison between human and alien scientists, had adapted to the network faster than anyone expected. She could feel the thoughts and emotions of humans across the galaxy, and they could feel hers. It was frightening at first, but now she couldn't imagine going back to the loneliness of a single mind. The technology sharing program has exceeded all projections, she reported. Human advances in energy manipulation have been combined with Velthari engineering and Zephyrian mathematics. Our ships are now 50 times more powerful than they were a year ago. Captain Dong-ho appeared in the chamber through a holographic link from his ship at the galaxy's edge. He was part of humanity's early warning system, watching for the first signs of invasion. Confirmed contact with enemy scouts, he reported. They're probing our defenses, testing our responses. The main fleet will arrive within 72 hours. Ardare, you ready, Captain? Ambassador Hanul asked. We're all ready, Ambassador. Human. Alien. It doesn't matter anymore. We're one people now. This was true in ways that would have seemed impossible before. The neural network didn't just let species share information. It let them share feelings, hopes, and dreams. Humans could experience the joy that Zephyrians felt when flying. Velthari could feel the fierce loyalty that Kethari warriors had for their friends. Every species learned to see through the eyes of others, but not everyone was happy with these changes. On the Kethari homeworld, War Chief Tai Sung led a group that still resented human leadership. His people were warriors who had never bowed to anyone, and accepting human protection felt like surrender. "We have fought our own battles for 10,000 years, he told his followers. "Why should we hide behind human shields now?" But even as he spoke, he wore the communication device that connected him to the defense network. Even in his anger, he knew the humans were right about the coming threat. His second-in-command, Commander Youngsik, had spent months working with human military advisors. "War Chief, I have felt their battle mind through the network. They don't think like us. They don't fight for glory or honor. They fight to protect everything they love, including us." "That's exactly what I don't understand," Taesung replied. "Why do they care about us? What do they gain by saving species they barely knew existed?" The answer came from an unexpected source. A young Kethari warrior named Jimin had volunteered for the full neural integration program. She could think with human thoughts while keeping her own personality. "War Chief," she said quietly. "They save us because that's what they are. Humans don't see other species as aliens. They see them as family they haven't met yet." Meanwhile, in deep space, the enemy fleet was beginning its final approach. The invasion force was even larger than expected. Not 10 million ships, but 50 million. Mobile planets the size of moons. Factory ships that could build new warriors from raw materials. Command vessels that controlled the minds of entire species. They called themselves the Harvesters, and they had been consuming galaxies for millions of years. Each victory made them stronger. Each conquered civilization became part of their growing army, but they had never faced anything like humanity. The first battle began at the galaxy's edge, where Captain Dong Ho's scouting fleet met the enemy vanguard. What the Harvesters expected was a few primitive ships fleeing in panic. What they found was something they had never encountered before. Human ships didn't just fight individually, they fought as parts of a single organism. When one ship was damaged, others moved to protect it instantly. When enemies appeared, the entire fleet responded as one mind with thousands of bodies. But more importantly, the aliens fighting alongside the humans shared that same connection. Velthari engineers worked with Zephyrian pilots and Kethari warriors as if they were all the same species. "This is Captain Dong Ho to all vessels," came the voice through the communication network. "The enemy is here. Remember, we're not just fighting for our own species anymore, we're fighting for everyone." The battle was brief, but decisive. The Harvester scouts were destroyed so quickly they couldn't even send warning signals back to their main fleet, but the main fleet was coming anyway. 3 days later, the full invasion began. Harvester ships poured into the galaxy like a dark tide, expecting to sweep away all resistance. Instead, they found resistance everywhere. Every inhabited system was protected by mixed fleets that fought with perfect coordination. Every trade route was defended by patrol ships that appeared from nowhere and vanished just as quickly. Every attempt to isolate and destroy individual worlds was met by reinforcements that arrived faster than thought. The Harvesters had conquered 17 galaxies, but they had always faced divided civilizations that fought separately and fell one by one. This galaxy was different. This galaxy fought back as a single unified organism. Ambassador Hanul stood in the command center on Earth, connected to every ship and every warrior in the galaxy through the neural network. She could feel the fear of a young Zephyrian pilot. In his first battle, the determination of a Velthari engineer keeping her ship's engines running. The fierce joy of a Kethari warrior protecting his new alien friends. "Status report," she said, though she already knew the answer through the network. "Enemy advance stopped at 17 different points," reported General Sujin. "They're trying to understand why we're so hard to defeat." "Let them wonder, Ambassador," Hanul replied. "The longer they spend figuring us out, the more time we have to defeat them." The war continued for months. The Harvesters threw everything they had at the galaxy, but nothing worked. They tried to corrupt the neural network. Humans had defenses they'd never seen. They tried to turn species against each other. But aliens who could share thoughts couldn't be fooled by lies. They tried to destroy individual worlds, but every world was protected by the combined might of the entire galaxy. Slowly, impossibly, the harvesters began to retreat. "This is unprecedented," reported Captain Dong-ho from the front lines. "They're actually falling back. No galaxy has ever made them retreat before." "That's because no galaxy ever fought as one people before," Ambassador Hanul replied. "The final battle took place near the galactic core, where the Harvester command ships tried to make their last stand. But even their final desperation couldn't break the unity that humanity had built. When it was over, the galaxy was safe. The Harvesters were gone, their fleet destroyed or fleeing to terrorize some other part of the universe. But the galaxy was forever changed. 6 months after the aliens first discovered Earth's silence, the galaxy was in chaos. The news that humanity had become a superpower overnight spread through every council world like wildfire. On Nexus Prime, the Galactic Council building buzzed, with angry voices and worried whispers. Emergency sessions were called every day. Representatives from dozens of species argued about what to do with the human problem. Wisekeeper Yun-ho sat in his ancient chair, watching the chaos around him. He had seen many crises in his long life, but never anything like this. A species that went from primitive to superior in just a few months. Counselor Ari stood at the speaker's podium, her crystal skin flashing with angry red colors. "We cannot allow this. Humans were under our protection as a developing species. Now they claim to be our protectors? The facts don't care about our feelings," replied Ambassador Seok-jin, his tree-like form swaying as he spoke. "Their technology is real. Their ships are real. Their threat assessment about this enemy fleet is real." "How do we know they're telling the truth about this enemy?" demanded General Baksu, a military leader from one of the warrior species. "Maybe they invented this threat to justify taking control of the galaxy." Dr. Sora had been invited to speak to the council about her experiences on Earth. She stood up slowly, still processing everything she had seen. "Honored counselors, I have studied human behavior for 20 years. They are not liars or conquerors by nature. When they say an enemy is coming, I believe them. Even if they're telling the truth," said Counselor Ari. "Why should we accept human leadership? We have been civilized for thousands of years while they were still living in caves." "Because," Dr. Sora replied, "they're not the same species anymore." Meanwhile, on Earth, President Minho stood in his office looking out at a city that had been transformed. The buildings were taller and more graceful than before. Plants grew up their sides in perfect spirals. The air was cleaner than it had been in centuries. His assistant, Secretary Jin-A, brought him reports from around the galaxy. "Sir, 17 council species have requested defense agreements with us, but 23 others are talking about forming an alliance against us." President Minho nodded. He had expected this. Fear makes people do stupid things, and the galaxy was very afraid right now. "What about our colonies beyond the galaxy? Any word from the deep space fleets?" "Admiral, Sujin reports that all outer colonies are ready. The defense network is complete, but sir..." Jin-A paused. "What is it?" "Our scouts have made contact with the approaching enemy. They're bigger than we thought. Much bigger." This was troubling news. The humans had prepared for a large invasion force. But if the enemy was larger than expected, even humanity's new abilities might not be enough. How much bigger? Instead of thousands of ships, they're bringing millions. Instead of one invasion fleet, they're bringing entire mobile planets. President Minho walked to his window. Outside, human children played in parks that grew their own fruit trees. Adults worked in buildings that cleaned the air around them. Everyone looked healthy and happy, unaware that the biggest war in galactic history was coming. "Jin-A, send a message to General Sujin. Tell her to begin Phase 2 preparations." "Phase 2, sir? Are you sure?" "The council species haven't agreed to work with us yet. They will. When they see what's coming, they'll have no choice. Back on Nexus Prime, the Council was receiving reports from their own deep space monitoring stations. The news was not good. Confirmed contact with unidentified fleet at Galaxy's Edge, reported Captain Lee Ho, a Council military officer. Size. Estimate. Counselors, you're not going to believe this. Wisekeeper Yunho leaned forward in his chair. Tell us. Our best estimate is over 10 million vessels, ranging from fighter-sized craft to objects larger than moons. They're arranged, in formations we don't recognize, using technology we can't identify. The Council chamber became very quiet. 10 million ships was more than all the Council species had combined. How long until they reach inhabited systems? Asked Ambassador Seokjin. At their current speed, 18 months. Exactly what the humans predicted. Counselor Aries' crystal skin had turned pale blue, the color of fear in her species. Even if we mobilized every ship in the galaxy, we couldn't fight something that big. No, agreed General Baksu. But maybe the humans can. All eyes turned to him. General Baksu was known for his pride and his hatred of weakness. If he was suggesting they needed human help, the situation was truly desperate. I've seen their ships, he continued. I've watched their coordination. They move like they share one mind, and their technology is beyond anything we understand. If anyone can stop this invasion, it's them. But at what cost? Counselor Ari demanded. If we accept human leadership, we become junior partners in our own galaxy. Better junior partners than extinct species, replied Wisekeeper Yunho. On Earth, Ambassador Hanuel was preparing for the most important diplomatic mission in human history. She would return to Nexus Prime with an offer the Council couldn't refuse, and couldn't accept without changing everything. General Su Jin stood beside her reviewing final preparations. Su Jin was humanity's top military strategist, a woman who could see patterns in chaos and find order in confusion. Ambassador, our analysis shows that fear will make some species act irrationally. They might try to attack us before the real enemy arrives. I know. That's why we need to be ready for anything. The defense fleet is in position. If any Council species tries to strike at Earth, they'll find us much harder to hurt than they expect. Ambassador Hanuel looked at the tactical display showing human ships throughout the solar system and beyond. Every ship was connected to every other ship through the neural network that linked all human minds. They could respond to threats, faster than individual species could even think. General, how many Council worlds have we surrounded without them knowing? All of them, Ambassador. Every inhabited planet, every major space station, every military base. If war breaks out, we can protect our friends and stop our enemies before they fire a second shot. This was the reality that the galaxy didn't understand yet. During their months of silence, humans hadn't just built ships and space stations. They had quietly positioned themselves to control everything that mattered. But they didn't want control. They wanted survival. 3 days later, Ambassador Hanuel arrived at Nexus Prime with a small escort of human ships. The Council building was surrounded by defensive vessels from a dozen species, all worried that the humans had come to conquer them. They were wrong. The humans had come to save them. The Council chamber was packed with representatives, observers, and military officers. Everyone wanted to see what humanity would demand from the galaxy. Ambassador Hanuel walked to the center of the room and looked around at faces filled with fear, anger, and confusion. Honored counselors, she began. I come here today not as a conqueror, but as someone offering help to neighbors in need. Help we didn't ask for, interrupted Counselor Ari. Help you need whether you ask for it or not, Ambassador Hanuel replied calmly. In 14 months, the largest invasion force in galactic history will begin destroying everything you have ever built. Your species, your worlds, your civilizations, all of it will be consumed unless we act together. She pressed a control device and the room filled with holographic displays showing the approaching enemy fleet. This is what our deep space scouts have observed. Mobile planets equipped with world-destroying weapons. Ships that can eat stars for fuel. Machines that turn living beings into fuel for their war effort. The images were terrifying. Even the bravest council members felt sick looking at them. They have destroyed 17 galaxies. Ambassador Hanul continued. Billions of species, trillions of individuals, countless civilizations, all gone. This galaxy is next. Why should we believe you? Demanded General Baksu. How do we know this isn't a trick to make us surrender? Instead of answering with words, Ambassador Hanul touched something on her wrist. Instantly, every human ship in the galaxy became visible on Council sensors. There were thousands of them, positioned near every important location. General, if we wanted to conquer you, we would have done it already. We've been in position to control this galaxy for months. Instead, we've been building defenses to protect it. The Council members stared at their sensor displays. Human ships were everywhere, close enough to strike but holding perfectly still. You've been watching us, Wisekeeper Yun-ho said quietly. We've been protecting you, Ambassador Hanul corrected. Every time a Council species considered attacking Earth, we were ready to stop them. Every time pirates threatened trade routes, we cleared them away. Every time natural disasters threatened inhabited worlds, we were prepared to help. Without our permission, Counselor Airi said. Without your knowledge, Ambassador Hanul agreed. Because we knew that fear would make you do foolish things, and we were right. She gestured to the defensive fleet surrounding the building. Look around you. You're so afraid of us that you've forgotten about the real enemy. While you argue about human intentions, the destroyers get closer. President Minho's image appeared in the chamber through a holographic communication link. Counselors, I want to make our position clear. We don't want to rule the galaxy. We want to save it.